Hello, I'm Ann Coulter. Welcome to my Substack, Unsafe. I have been dying to talk to Tommy Robinson from across the pond because I can't figure out what's going on in the mother country, but it doesn't look good. Welcome, Tommy Robinson.
Thanks for having me on. And you're right, it doesn't look good. It's not good. It's really not good.
I watched your documentary, Silenced, which amazingly is only available on Twitter. By the way, your Wikipedia page goes on and on and on. You're almost as long as President Barack Obama's Wikipedia page. I didn't compare it to Biden's, but I bet it's longer. So we've gone back to every infraction in your life. I think there was a little fist fight on the playground in kindergarten. But just looking at the most recent ones, wow, that case with the Syrian refugee, I don't understand why that. Well, can you describe the case? And I don't understand why that case is continuing. You've pretty much locked up the truth on this.
2 years in jail I face now for that. 2 years in jail. I'll be sent to jail. When I return to the UK, I will be in prison for that film. So, and I'll explain what the story was. So there was a story where a Syrian refugee had a bottle of water poured over his face in a playground. And it was a playground school incident. They happen every day in playgrounds across the country, and it should have stayed as that. But because he was a Syrian refugee, this story, which we find out when I make the documentary, was manipulated and made. It wasn't organic. It was made into world news. Now, it went global. It went on CNN, it went on ABC Australia, it went on Chinese news, it went on Israeli news, it was everywhere. Every single talk show host in our country was talking about it. The story we were told was that the Syrian refugee was innocent and he'd been racially bullied because he was a Syrian refugee. And in the video, look, the video didn't look good. The video looked horrible. It was a larger boy holding down a smaller boy and pouring water on his face. And the headline said the Syrian boy had been waterboarded. That's the headline, waterboarded. That's what they went with. Waterboarded, and it was to do with his race. And in the video, the boy had a broken arm, the Syrian boy. He had his arm in plaster cast. And then solicitors, when I say solicitors, Mohammed Akanji is the go-to celebrity jihadist lawyer. So if you've killed, raped, maimed or murdered in the name of Islam, he's your representative. He represented Michael Adebolajo, who beheaded Lee Rigby, Shamina Begum, the jihadi bride, the famous one from London, who they're trying to get back in the UK still now from Syria. He represents her. So he was the lawyer, and he went on a global news spree to raise money. They raised £180,000 for the Syrian boy and paint him as a victim of English racist bullying. Now, I was contacted, I was looking online, and I saw very quickly one girl said she was beaten by the Syrian with a hockey stick. Another girl's mother contacted me, and she said that Jamal took part in a violent assault against her daughter as well. And she sent me images of her daughter's body, including bite marks. So I made a video simply saying, you're being lied to. You're being deceived about this story. I don't know why no one's telling the truth about it, but this wasn't to do with racism. It wasn't to do with him being a Syrian or a refugee. It was to do with threats to stab someone. And the boy caught up with him, because as the boy's pouring water over him, you can hear him saying, "What are you saying now? What are you saying now?" Something very clearly has gone on previous to this. What are you saying now? What are you saying?
The kid's mother, what, a white bitch or something?
That's another kid. He called his mum a white slag. But this film, this documentary, this is a far bigger story than Tommy Robinson. Okay, yes. So this is about the weaponization of the judiciary, about aiming it
at the media.
And all of this, well, that's the unholy. I'd say I call it the unholy alliance, which is the media cooperating with the government, cooperating with the police, all working together. Far left organisations, Islamist organisations, all working together when the narrative suits and to control the narrative. And that's what they wanted. And I asked the question why. There's multiple reasons why.
Wait, before you get to why, I want to get to, I mean, the documentary you made. So, okay, they want to criminally prosecute you for saying there's more to the story. This kid, Jamal, was a bully. And then what I saw in the documentary, Silence, that was when you were going back, you had to prove the truth of your allegations. And you did all those hidden camera recordings. Yep. And that was stunning. It was stunning. You were beyond right, and it shows. Well, describe that.
Describe. So basically, when I made the video saying you're being lied to, he threatened to stab. My comments were he threatened to stab someone and he beats up girls. Yeah. For that, I was then sued through the courts under defamation law, under libel. So they said that I slandered him. So when I went to court, first of all, I said I'm a journalist. Here's who told me it. I reported the allegations that I was told. That's my job. Yeah. To give a different view because no one else was giving this view. So I just reported what I was told. And he didn't accept that it was in the public's interests. Yeah, we now know the documentary's had 35 million views now. It's definitely in the public's interest. The public wanted to see this. Yeah, but the judge said I had to prove truth. So I thought, okay, that's why I wear a covert camera. So I went and wore a covert camera. I approached teachers' houses. I approach all of them, and I do an investigation because I know what I said is true. But I've got to show the public. And I'm always thinking, I'll be honest, Anne, I've been through the judiciary in the UK for my work. I've been imprisoned. I've spent a year on solitary confinement. We don't have a justice system. We have a legal system. And if you've got a target on you, it's weaponized and used against you. So I didn't expect to ever win a court case with a judge. When you read my Wikipedia page, I've never had 12 members. Yeah, I know. But don't believe a word of it, all right? I've never been tried by 12 members of the British public. Never. I've never had a jury. So I'm convicted by judges after judges after judges. And when I went before this judge, so I went and got all the footage, and I'm laughing.
And describe that footage, though. I mean, it's stunning that the parents and the teachers were being paid off, were being threatened with having their pensions removed. The entire school was shut down. And you have one person after another. This kid Jamal had 170 disciplinary infractions. He was monstrous sexist. Oh boy, are Western women going to discover that Western men were the best they ever had it. So okay, describe that, and I really recommend people watch this documentary because this is what they tell you on hidden camera.
So I went up there to find out. So I knocked at doors. People started telling me, and I said, "Right, I've got a court case coming up. I need to prove it." And everyone was scared. So then I get a covert camera, and I think, right, I need to prove this now. I know the truth. I need to prove it. And when I went to the first Asian teacher's house, he came out and said, "I took the money, Tommy." I said, "What do you mean you took the money?" He said, "They paid us." I said, "Who paid you?" He said, "Kirklees Council." And this teacher, he goes on to tell me that Jamal come up to his classroom to beat up a girl as well, yeah? And he goes on to say that Jamal is a liar about absolutely everything. Jamal would make allegations that someone beat him up or someone bullied him. They'd check, and the boy wasn't even in school that day, yeah? So they proved that Jamal was lying and lying and lying. But the teacher whispers that he was paid £18,000. Now, this teacher had nothing to do with it. That's like $22,000, I guess. But this teacher wasn't even really involved in the Jamal story. So I thought, if he got £18,000, then I go to the head teacher's house, and I'll be honest, I could have made an entire documentary. Obviously, you get to see, it's an hour and 45. I tried to cut it down. It was impossible. But I had about 5 hours of footage to cut down. Now, I could have made my own documentary about the head teacher, because the head teacher, who joined Education to Help Poor Children, says that when this blew up onto international news, and the problem the government had is that they invited Jamal straight to Parliament. And they sat him in Parliament with the Home Secretary. Now, because he's a Syrian refugee, and because it's cool and it's woke to defend this child and put him up on a pedestal, and they brought him to Parliament. And once they'd done that, they could never let the truth of this story come out. Because what was the truth? The truth was, and I don't aim, and anyone who watches the film, I don't aim anything at Jamal. Jamal's a 15-year-old child who come from a war-torn country. He's got problems. Yeah, he's got problems. This story is about the manipulation of the story, the total 360 changing of it, and using it to push their agenda. What is their agenda? Open borders, mass immigration. And the government bought Jamal. Jamal was one of 20,000 refugees that were relocated during the ISIS conflict into our country at a time when the public didn't support that. So if the truth could be told, this is the story of one of the 20,000. Yes. And he was beating up girls, bullying girls. He was a little terror. Yeah. Now we've got another 19,999.
Who was it that was paying them off again? The local town council?
Oh, this is where I started looking. So at this time in Kirklees, in the town, Huddersfield had the biggest Muslim grooming rape scandal that our country's had. It's the biggest. So it's all over the news. I don't know if you follow British incidents. There was an incident at Batley in a little town called Batley, which has a large Muslim population, where a teacher discussed Muhammad and pulled up a picture of Muhammad. That teacher still right now is under protective custody and being hidden because they're fearful that he'll be killed. Now, Samuel Paty was a teacher in France who'd done a similar conversation and they beheaded him. They beheaded him they went up to school and beheaded him. Yeah. So it's serious. But the man who led the protests outside the school for the school teacher and got hundreds of Muslims outside threatening violence was a man called Mufti Pandor. So I looked at Mufti Pandor, and then when the teachers all say they got paid by the council, Shabir Pandor, who's Mufti Pandor's brother, is the head of the council. And then I started looking at the grooming, the rape gangs. There's another Pandor, their other relative, is on charge and trial for raping the kids.
Wow.
So there's a big news story. This story got rid of it. It made every discussion about this, and they wouldn't answer the questions. So when I spoke to the head teacher, this blew up. They went into the school, as he says, they blackmailed him with his pension, and then they made him sign a non-disclosure agreement. And when he signed it, they escorted him off the school property. His non-disclosure agreement prohibits him from ever talking to any of the school staff again. So when I say they literally thought, so get rid of this story, get rid of it. Yeah. How do we get rid of it? Make sure no one can talk.